What up, Eric? I started to chat about a certain thing with respect to the 145 and the guitar and how the guitar standard tuning is set up. And hang on a second. Alright. So I wanted to show you this cool thing. It's kind of like it follows along the lines of circle of fifths, right? So let's say you're starting on 5th fret, top string, and you're tuned in standard tuning. So this is an E, but fretted here it's an A, right? But let's just forget about the notes for a second. So if I go to the same position on the string below, you probably know this from the uke, right? So if I go up this way, that's a 4th, and one up from that is a 5th, right? And if you bar chord, you get the 1-5 unison. You get the octave, right? So if you take this bar chord thing, this 1 3rd finger pinky, index is on the 5th fret, ring is on 7th fret, index, and then pinky is 7th fret. You take that whole shape and you move it down. You get a 4. You get a 5. Pretty cool, right? So if you have a looper or whatever, you can do your basic Nashville catalog with a 1-4-5. Right? Or you can just do a 1 and a 4. Play around with those patterns and never move more than 2 frets. You can do a 1-4-5 that way. And I didn't show, like, you can do all the chords in that shape, but I just wanted to show this relationship. Now that, a lot of times, like the way I learned blues way back in the day, is that you got, wait, hold on. Have this, and then you'd have so you'd go to the, which I guess would be a 4th up from the 4th, right? So you're just doing that and then it goes back, but ignore that for a second. Just like if you're thinking about like staying in key, if you just want to play progressions and just sort of free play, you can do that 1-4-5 and you'll get heavy resolution from this back to home. You get heavy resolution from 5 back to home. And that's with that major key center. Now what's badass is if you move that down 1, 2, 3 frets, right? And you do this one, that would be your minor 6. So that would be your 6, right? Because we're going down to the 6 from the 1. And then if you do that same pattern again, it's like a 1-4-5 in the minor key. But if you throw that 3rd in there, then it's all minor chords. So I don't technically know what that's called. I use that term with my instructor, like if you're in the minor key, like so in this case, we're doing the A minor we're doing the A major as the 1. So if we back this down, this is like F sharp minor, right? And then B minor, and then C sharp minor. Those chords are the relative minor for the key of A, right? But this is essentially a 1-4-5 thing. So you can see like being like, I don't know, 10 through 16 punk rocks, right? All 3 chords in the truth is like, I'll do the full with a 3rd in it. And then this would be the minor flavor of the same key. And now that you know you have 6 of those chords within your diatonic key, you have the relative minor 1-4-5 and you have the major 1-4-5. you can set up a loop, or you can kind of mix and match. So you can stay with your 1, and you can go down to a 6, and then you can come up to a 5, and then you can go to a 4, and come up with your own sort of experiments in progression. And for me, progression was really key. It's key to what gets me to sort of enjoy the song and kind of go along with it and have that resolve, or have it not be a resolve, or whatever. But yeah, I just wanted to show you that without getting into like the diminished chord or any of that. And what's cool is like this, if you look at, so we'll do 1 through 6, right? So you have so you have 1, you have 2, you have 3, you have your 4th, and you have your 5th, right? Then you have your 6th, right? And then you have your 1. So that's most of the chords that you can use without getting into diminished and extensions and sevenths and any of that stuff. That's the core meat of most chord progressions, and that spatial relationship. And I believe, yeah, it gets a little weird when you hit the B string, so you gotta set it up a little differently. But when you're just wanting to rock out with your power chords, be a verse, and I was just going wherever, right? So trip on that. Know where your 1 is. Play with those spatial relationships. 1, 4, 5 in major, 1, 4, 5 in minor, or 6, whatever it is, 6, 2, 3. But yeah, that was kind of a mind blower for me, a little game changer, and how starting to understand how they set up the guitar to leverage relative tunings and things like that. Because when you switch, when you change the top string, then the shapes become different. Same principles apply. But I thought that was kind of cool. And then I think when you come, like if you're on the 2nd string, I forget what that pattern is, but I'll think about it and I'll get back to you on that. But yeah, when you start the pattern to do a 1, I think it's so that's it on the 2nd string. If you do the 1 here instead of on the 6th, if you go down to the 5th string as your start, and you come down here, that's your 4, and then your 5 is the 6. It's just not a high inversion of a 5. It's the lower 5. So you get a totally different 1, 4, 5. So this would be a 1 starting in D this time. And if we started in A, it's your 1 in this case is your lowest chord, and your 1 in this case is your middle chord, right? So you have your 1 and you have your so that was cool too, like as those relationships change. So I don't know how that translates to the uke, but something in that should unlock some stuff, because all the frets are I think they're subdivided the same way across the harmonic, and yeah, so it's just gonna be like your fingerings for those tunings, but those relative relationships, you're not traveling more than, if you're doing a 1-4-5 or a 1-4-5 in minor, you're not moving more than 2 or 3 frets, and it's pretty ergonomic that way. Anyway, dude, I've gone long enough, but hopefully that's helpful. Take it easy.